I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to an extremely cold, wintry morning here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. But you can see the fire is still in the sky. That sun is rising, and of course it's the very beginning of our sunset safari here. We will be coming to you live from many different locations across South Africa, but we have just stopped here on quarantine to look and listen. Really appreciate the morning in all its glory. So I hope you're all ready to do the same. It's time to jump on board and get ready for your bumble through the bush. I'm very glad you've all decided to jump on board with us all on the back of our very comfortable vehicles, shall we say. My vehicle is windy after all, and it's definitely the best. But what a chilly morning. It's actually so chilly that my fingers have turned blue. My name is Lauren. I do have Davy on camera this morning, and we're going to Bumble. We have no plans. Sometimes when you have a plan, nothing actually goes to plan. So we've decided we're just going to Bumble, see what we can find, what tracks we can pick up on. But my first port of call is definitely the hyena den. Many of you are asking, are they still there? And yes, they are. We've actually shown you the cubs very, very briefly on a number of occasions with no adults, just so that you can see they're okay. But we're just not catching the den when the adults are there. Now, it's gone into a completely different season. It's now winter, so I think that's affecting it. Temperature, all sorts of things. But I shall check, and I shall continue to check. So as we look at this beautiful scene in front of us, I must remind you all that this safari is live. It's not pre-recorded or edited in any way. Lots of things happen, including the old whoopsie here and there. And it's interactive, so please do talk to us. You can use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Or if you're on the YouTube chat, please use @FC. Or you can head over to the Wild Earth website. Register, you've got to register, and then submit your questions under the live safari page. Lastly, kids, if you're watching, please do talk to us. Please send in all your wonderful questions. You send them in via email. And the email address is kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. So because this scene in front of us is absolutely stunning, I'm going to be quiet for a moment just to let you all enjoy it. You're saying you hope the sun rising will make us all warm. Me too. Me too. It's very chilly. Everybody's wrapped up this morning. I think even Tristan has gloves on. Yet we're all wearing shorts, though. I have socks pulled up to my knees, so it's kind of cheating on the short department. But it's very, very chilly. It warms up extremely quickly, though. So talking of temperatures and weather, let's take a look at what it's going to be like today across all our locations.
Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to and Beyond's Punda Private Game Reserve, where this morning we've come out to a little area to watch the sun come up, and you can see just below a very misty Munewana River, and a little bit further to the right, False Bay, which eventually flows into Lake St. Lucia. But have a look at that beautiful sunrise this morning. It was just peeking its way through the clouds, and I'm sure this mist is going to slowly but surely burn off. But a really beautiful morning here on Punda, just also taking a quiet moment to listen to all the birds waking up and announcing that they've survived the night. My name is Matt, and behind the camera this morning we've got Odie, and we this morning are going to search for lions. We yesterday tried our best, but with no luck of them, so we've just come out here to see if we couldn't listen or hear anything, and to just appreciate the sunrise this morning. And you can see there where Odie's got in picture now, a very, very misty, that would be the Mzanene River to our right-hand side, which also eventually leads into False Bay and then Lake St. Lucia and then out into the Indian Ocean. You might just be able to see that coastal sand dune right at the back there, and then just beyond that is the Indian Ocean, really not far from us at all, which is amazing to think that between game drives one can go for a quick scuba dive or a snorkel and then come back to Big 5 territory. We're not too far from where we saw that leopard last night, in fact, but he was on a serious mission, that male leopard, on his territorial patrol, so he could literally be anywhere on this reserve today. So might just sit here and listen a little bit more, see if there's anything that we can spot with the binoculars, and just listen out for, especially this time of morning, if predators haven't had a successful evening out, they'll be on the move to see if they can't catch something this morning. Just see if we can't hear any alarm calls, any from birds, monkeys, even things like nyala that might bark to alert us that there's a potential predator in the area. Amazing how quickly that sun rises, breaking through the clouds. Neil, you commenting about the amazing scenic sunrise? Absolutely, breaking through the clouds like that. It always does make for a very beautiful scene when there are clouds in the morning for a sunrise. So yeah, we're very, very spoiled this morning to sit with the mist below on the rivers. It really is a magic scene this morning. Yeah, myself and Odie also just taking in the scenery this morning, almost lost for words as to how beautiful it actually is now with that little bit of sun coming through onto that mist. Very, very dramatic pictures, and makes for really, really interesting pictures as well, especially if you've got subjects in it. Be it elephants, I think they're in the very far northern parts of the reserve at the moment. But there are one or two elephant bulls that are hanging around in the south. A little bit of a breeze on our backs this afternoon as well. And the wind coming from the west. But just listening, as it gets warmer and warmer, everyone, including the boar, especially the birds, are getting really, really chirpy this morning. Obviously, it takes them quite a bit of energy to get vocal in the mornings, being so cool in the morning. But we're going to send you off to Tristan, who would also like to say good morning.
We would like to say good morning indeed, and we're actually just looking at tracks that we've just found, I'm pretty sure, for Tavangumi. He was seen last night in Djuma, just crossing in, and this, I'm sure, is where he's come out. So I don't know if Mpho, if you can get that one there. No, further back. How about over here somewhere? Okay, but maybe let me move the car, because you know what, the angle's not going to be good. But it's nice fresh tracks for him walking down the road. I'm pretty sure he's heading towards One-Eyed Pan. I saw some impalas. They look a little bit relaxed over there, which is where I think he would have gone. I'm going to just try and move the car so that you can actually see the track nicely, because I parked really badly, because I actually just found the track. But before I get into all of this, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Mpho, as I just mentioned. Can you get that one now? Or is it too close? Maybe it's a little bit close, I don't know. Okay, so Mpho says he can get it. So as you can see very clearly, nice fresh track, nice and clean and smooth, and the toes are very visible. So it's pointing the opposite direction to where we're heading. So we'll need to turn around and then go back from there. He's got this route that he's walking at the moment, which is basically this road. He goes in towards One-Eyed Pan. From One-Eyed Pan, he cuts back towards this road and then into Djuma again. So we'll just see if we can find him. Hopefully He's not too far. Maybe he's stalking these impalas. There's also tracks for a female leopard going absolutely everywhere in this area. So I'm sure Kara was around as well. All right, let me turn around so long and let's see if we can follow these by vehicle. It's not as easy, but it's possible. We've actually had a few really nice kind of vehicle tracking missions the last. You can actually see, hang on, before I turn around, I think it's where he was lying down. I see his tracks coming from that area. I just want to check if it was him that was lying here, or if it was... Oh, there's a buffalo that's lying right there, and I was walking around. Oh, thanks, buffalo. So you can see where he was lying, just on the left-hand side here. He was just sitting on the kind of edge of the road. The buffalo that I'm talking about is just on the left-hand side, so that's quite nice that you guys came to us when you did, because I would have walked along these tracks right into this buffalo, and you won't see him at all because he was behind a very dense bush. So, you know, things happen for a reason. Good morning, buffalo. How are you this morning? You're looking pretty in the golden light. I think he's off towards Sydney's Dam for a little wallow, is where he's heading. You can see he's kind of got his nose up, a little unsure about us being here. And it's probably because I was off the car and walking around. So the scent of me is drifting in the air, and that for him is something that he needs to be a bit careful of. You know, they're not a huge fan of humans, like many other animals out here. So they sometimes are a little bit nervy when they smell us. Sorry, boy. But thank you for not squishing me. Most appreciated. All right, and Paul, let's leave him there because he's going behind the power lines, and that's not pretty for anyone. All right, so yeah, he was lying here just on the edge of the road, which is amazing. On this road particularly is not a road that generally you like to, that cats like to sleep on. It's a busy road most of the time, but for some reason he likes it. Every now and then you find him sleeping on this road, or tracks of him sleeping. He's really become quite a constant for this area of late as Tavangumi. He's definitely spending quite a bit of time around. You know, a lot of us were thinking maybe he'll just be a flash in the pan and kind of move off and go somewhere else, but that's not the case. He's 100% spending enough time in this area to suggest that he's quite happy here at the moment. Obviously that can change quite quickly. If one of the big boys decides to start pressuring him, then that can make a difference, but let's see. I mean, let's see how we go. I'm hoping that he does stick around. It'll just be so nice to have him in the area. His tracks are just going straight down the road here. They don't continue further down. I checked nicely further down. So I'm expecting them to turn at some point here onto one of these nice game paths, and for him to cross into Simambili side. Where did he go? I don't see his track anymore. Alright, his track seems to have cut off, so I'm going to just quickly jump out and have a little look. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Deirdre to say good morning.
Look quickly, and there we go. That was a jackal at Tswalu. So that was his exit stage left. So good morning from me, Deirdre. It's a little bit crispy this morning, BK2. We both have our gloves and everything on already. We start with 3 layers in the morning. So we don't have much of a plan. We're going to try and see if we can get a meerkat update. We just need to know where they are. We're still waiting a while for the sun to come up. We at least probably have another half an hour wait before the meerkats even think about coming out. So we're just going to go and check the dam and see if there's any other game updates around. Those 2 little jackal, we're not too far from that very stinky giraffe carcass from the last few days, so that's probably where they came from, but they've trotted off behind a thicket. So let's see. If we keep going forward, maybe there's something else. We probably need to start needing nose plugs, BK, for this very stinky giraffe. Oh. We drove right past it. No, there's nothing on it. Doesn't even look like much. So Matthew is asking the question, are the meerkats very active in winter? They are indeed, but they're definitely little sun worshippers in that they have to wait. They wait until the sun comes up and warms their burrow, so they take longer in winter to get active in the mornings, and then they do forage. So they've got a very high metabolism. They need to eat all the time, so they eat right throughout the day, and in winter they just need that sort of nice sun to start their day. So they are active in winter, but definitely slower starters in the morning. Okay, we've got a little bat-eared fox here. BK spotted that. Well done, BK. Now you got to get it. There we go. And he'll come out. Oh no, he stops. I see you, little bat-eared fox. So more and more we're seeing them now in the early hours of the morning and in the late afternoon, because it is starting to get quite cold at night. So a lot of the smaller nocturnal animals are coming out to find their food when it is a little bit warmer. It's strange to only see one, so we'll go forward. Maybe there'll be others, because where there's one bat-eared fox, there's probably about another 4 or 5. The whole family. They normally forage together. Maybe that's just the late straggler to get home. So we're nearly at the dam, and we'll go and see what we can find that side.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature. Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
We have a baby pangolin, This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Delivering 6 hours of HD wildlife content live every day is no small feat. It's a massive team effort, and we all rely on one another. Cam Ops have a bit of work to do in the morning. Up nice and early, get all the checks out of the way, and make sure we're ready to go live. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun.
I am indeed on Texans Road and the hyena den is not active. But I tried. It's probably a bit too cold for them. There's such a bite in the air. My fingers are literally numb. So maybe once that sun gets a little bit higher, we can come back and check again. I really would like to spend some time with them. But I remember this change when it happened last time, when the older cubs get to that stage that they need to start exploring. The younger cubs, they're at the stage where they really can't go anywhere. I remember it well when Corky was the matriarch. But I will, once that sun gets a little bit higher, we'll come back and we'll try and see if we can catch it active. But they're definitely still there, 100%. You can smell them, see their tracks, and I've also seen them almost every single day, just not with the adults. And if you think about it, it's only Novella and Intima's son that are in the den. So the only two adults that are really going to come now are Intima and June. I don't think Ribbon will really spend much time at the den anymore. She's got her boys to think about, and her boys are very much mobile with her. They just follow mom, a little trio. Novella and Intima's son are not really her responsibility anymore. She would be welcome there. It's a communal den. But she doesn't necessarily need to be there anymore. And it's winter and it's cold. Most mammals will be slightly hungrier than they are in summer, that's for sure. They need to keep warm, and to do that, they need to fuel their metabolism. And how does one fuel their metabolism? Well, through eating. We're almost at Treehouse Dam. We'll stop and give you a view of the dam. Not much is happening, but it's beautiful. Kathy, the Juma clan is the one that sort of spans the area that we traverse. There's also quite an established clan called the Elephant Plains clan, but they come from the west. We occasionally see members. Hart's brother Soul actually dispersed and he joined the Elephant Plains clan. The Elephant Plains clan. It's quite a mouthful. And we sometimes see individuals, but we really don't follow that clan. However, north in the Mangaleti, there's been reports of hyenas denning. And again, it's not an area that we can traverse. I've tried to get access to it, ask for photos and start to put together a little ID kit for them. But unfortunately, we're not there yet. So there's definitely other clans around. In the northern sector, at least. I'm talking about the northern sector. But the Juma clan's really the only clan that we follow, and we know them extremely well. Their lineages, their history, who's related to who. We have a lot of information about that clan. And it always happens to be that they den very close to our camp, really. I mean, the hyena dens are not too far away from where we live, so they're very accessible to us. But definitely not the only clan around. Isn't this stunning? Sorry, Gwen, one more time with that question. Did you get that, Davia? We're not getting that question, Gwen, I'm afraid. I'm dizzy, I think.
Is there a big five in the water world?
Oh, big five in the water world. I think big five is a very much commercial tourism term now. That's not what it originally started out to be. And you get the little five here now as well, of course, trying to encourage people to look at a more ecosystem-based approach and not to forget the small things, not to always look for the big things. And I think you get big five terms all across. It depends on what ocean you're in. Remember, there's lots of different oceans across the world that will either be tropical or temperate. They'll have different ecosystems. They're not all coral reef ecosystems. Some of them will be temperate. Some of them will have kelp garden. Some of them will be more pelagic. So yes, I think depending on where you go in the world, you will find that they advertise their own big five. But the ocean is a very large place, I'm afraid. You're not going to see the same organisms across the board. I mean, in Maldives, they advertise your manta rays, your whale sharks, your tiger sharks, sea turtles, and I think stingray. I think that's their big five, but that's not going to be applicable across the board, really. I mean, the little five here in South Africa contains the elephant shrew, the leopard tortoise, the ant lion, the rhino beetle, the buffalo weaver. So it's just trying to get people to think of avian organisms out here, reptilian, insect. Can't all be about the big five, can it? As wonderful as they are, but yes. This term is a very, very common term now. You also get the little five underwater, depending on where you are, and includes things like flatworms and nudibranchs and shrimps, starfish, frogfish. So yes, I'm sure you could go deep into an internet black hole on that one. Bless me, everyone. I see sneezing has begun again. Okay, Dovey, let's bumble. I don't want to travel too far, maybe. Buffalo tracks everywhere. Buffalo dung everywhere. Buffalo odor everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna get bumbling, see what I can find, and we are gonna send you guys across the Tristan.
While Lauren can smell buffalo odor, I'm trying to avoid a buffalo at this stage. That's why I'm off-road at the moment, is that I just don't feel like having to deal with a buffalo on foot right now, if I'm really honest. So I'm just following the game path that Tavangumi's been walking. But it seems like he's cut off now. I'm not sure which direction. The problem with not being on the track itself is that, you know, with the turning of the vehicle and the way it kind of works, it can be a bit tricky at times to see which way he goes, especially in an area like this where I know there's often impalas around, and so he could be just stalking and shifting and changing. So I'm trying to check the game path as much as I can, but at the same time, I have a very realistic expectation that he has moved off the game path and is potentially now chasing things around and hunting things. And hopefully that works in our favor, because if that is the case, then maybe he's going to produce an alarm call for us and we'll be able to find him. His track is very fresh, so I don't think he's far. I think he's somewhere around here. We just have to get a little bit lucky, because the thickets that are on either side of this game path are very real. They are dense and difficult, and a leopard can hide within 10 meters here. You won't even know that he's around. So we're going to have to get quite lucky. The elephant's dung that's on this pathway, his track is on top of the elephants. And those elephants, to give you an idea, are at Gallagher shortcut. So the distance from here to there probably indicates, you see, here's impalas here. Now, this is the kind of thing that he would love, because he'll be in amongst all of this nonsense and thickets, potentially stalking impalas. These radios this morning, I'm having to be on 2 different channels because we're right on the boundary here, so I'm trying to kind of hear from both sides what's going on and where the tracks have been found. But like I say, these 2 impalas are exactly what he would be looking for, is something like this in the bush. He's got lots of places where he can stalk from, and they potentially themselves are, as we know, in a rutting phase, so they sometimes are going to clash horns and not pay attention as much, and that's going to get them into a lot more trouble. So this is the prime kind of target for Tswalu. This is what he's mostly going to be looking for. The problem is that I don't see him anywhere here, and the impalas themselves feeding indicate that they haven't picked up anything either. Daniel, their best defense from predators is their senses, so hearing, eyesight, and smell. That's their best defense. If they can pick up the predator and see the predator and shout at the predator, and now, guys, then that makes it a much easier prospect, because the predator knows once it's seen that it's got no chance really of being able to get close enough to outrun an impala. So their senses are really their best, and then occupying spaces that are going to be good for them to survive. So when I say that, I mean occupying things like open clearings where they can see a lot better. Thickets like this, not as easy. Now, of course, they've got to feed, so they've got to take a chance at some point, and so thickets like this are utilized hours, but in the nighttime they're going to try and utilize open clearings, because that will allow them to actually pick up on any predator that's moving around. Now, I also had tracks for, I'm pretty sure, it's Shadulu moving through here as well, coming out of Djuma, this road. So we'll just try and see if we can't find one of them. In the meantime, though, let's send you across. You see, crossed here, straight over the road. Just trying to see, because I drove here. It looks like he's gone on top of my vehicle since I drove here, which is right now. Okay, well, we're going to send you off. Hopefully, wherever we're sending you, I can't remember now, is going to have something interesting to show you.
Well, we wish Tristan luck on his leopard search. We are taking it real easy here. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson, behind the camera is Gert, and this is Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy, where we've decided to come here to Ndlovu Dam, close to our eco training camp. There were some male lions in the area yesterday, and we just wanted to come into this area, listen to what we might hear, also just see if anything comes down to the dam first thing in the morning. It's very chilly right now. I don't know, probably somewhere around 14, 15 degrees, or that's what it was earlier. It's warming up quickly with the sun, but as you can see, hardly a breath of wind. Which is great for us. Means it'll warm up nicely. And we're just hoping that at some point when you walk east from here, that we might find the tracks of those male lions. Should be 2 male lions that moved into the area, and at least get an idea of where they went this morning. Other than that, as always, just enjoying the little things that can pop up when you're on a bushwalk. It's always just about taking it easy and enjoying the sights and sounds. You might not be able to hear it at home, but so much bird activity right now, from crested francolins, Cape turtle doves, crested barbets calling as well in the background. Chin spot batis. It's a real dawn chorus happening. really one of the lovely things about winter. So many people like summer, so many people like winter. Dawn chorus is really one of the beautiful things about winter. Jenny, why don't we see crocodiles? That's a good question, Jenny. In Pride Lands, although we've got quite a lot of water, these pans are very, very seasonal. And although they're quite deep, I think the vast amount of elephant activity means that crocodiles and hippos don't like to necessarily take up residence in here. There are some fish. We've seen herons and storks catching fish here before, although we think that maybe because of the vast amount of elephant activity, it means that we don't have any resident crocodiles. Can you guys see something? Oh, there's some impalas maybe coming down to drink. I don't know if we can see them from where we are. Maybe just around the corner. Let's just have a look-see. Ah, look at that, beautiful. Our first mammal coming down to drink water. Alexa, our backup, was giving a variety of hand signals that I was struggling to decipher. But beautiful. So if there were crocodiles here, or even though there's not crocodiles that we think, Jenny, that impala still uses its full stretch with its legs ready to bound away should anything burst out the water to try and catch it. And I'm certain this impala, being very perceptive with a very incredibly good sense of smell, will almost certainly have smelt those lions if it crossed its tracks somewhere on its journey down to the water. Susan is actually very similar to how a giraffe would drink. Just giraffes are a little bit more, they're much taller, so they have to bend their front knees, and when they stand up after drinking, they often flick their head back. And this impala is still very agile, so it can actually take longer drinks because it knows it can quickly run away from the water, whereas a giraffe will take much shorter sips and frequently stand up to look because it's very, very vulnerable when its head is down like that. They're not quite as quick to stand up and run away. Right, while we watch this impala finishing its drink, we'll probably head away from this waterhole and start walking east. In the meantime, we'll send you over to Deirdre, who's also on the search for any life in Tswalu.
So Mike is correct. We are on a search for animals. We've come to the open clearings to see if we can see anything at a distance. It's very, very frosty on our faces, but we found some ostrich. There's a pair there, male on the left, female on the right, in the nice open clearings. I wonder, I've got pants on and a blanket, double-layered blanket on my lap. Can you imagine how cold the ostrich's legs must be? I've heard BK go brrr more than once this morning, and it's not even proper winter yet. So I wouldn't even imagine how cold an ostrich must get. I suppose they're carrying nice feathers, keep them warm, but their neck and their legs, sure. So we still have to wait a while, although that's a pair, we still wait a while for sort of breeding season for the ostriches. That's only going to come around August, late July, August. And then their beak and their shins start going more pink. And that's a sign of a breeding male. Maybe we're going to get a little bit of a display dance. Lilypad is asking, how do we tell the difference between male and female? So the male's got black feathers and then the female's got lighter brown feathers. Just trying to see if going forward would be better. We're going to try and go forward so that we can see if we can see both in the shot. So yeah, males the black feathers and then the females brown. But they look like there might be sort of some practice courtship going on there. I don't know, is that better, BK? When they open their wings and they sort of like wave them around and up and over their back, and then they sort of wave their neck in a snake-like motion. Oh no, that's two males. Okay, now that I can see them clearly, oh, that's just two companions then. So maybe it's a bit more of a competition than it is a display. Sometimes birds, in particular a younger bird, will learn sort of the courtship display and the mating display from an older bird with a bit more experience. Yeah, that's what happens when you see them from so far away. I can hear the jackals howling in the distance. They're all about to start going to bed, some of them. We're seeing a little slither of sun on the mountains, but not yet. It hasn't come up just yet. That's our little slither on the mountains.
Yeah, good morning, station. Kalahari Reserve. We'll be conducting a walk from North Lodge all the way to...
So let's carry on in the open clearings and see what else.
Still frozen in the vehicle, but we're searching. There's fresh female leopard tracks around Twin Dams, so we're just scratching around. It's a very good time for predators to be moving this time of morning because they're also cold. Gotta keep moving. It could be anyone. Kalamba's using Twin Dams, Sabui, Shasha. I don't actually know if Langa ever sets her foot in here. I've never seen her, but there's a possibility that she does. And we're just going to keep scratching around here and see what we can find. The Mawati's actually probably too cold. Most creatures go into the Mawati when they're too hot. Aha. Let's try. Here we have a little fresh set. I'll get Davi to show you what I'm looking at and what I'm looking for. It's actually a really lovely set of tracks. You see them, Davi? Got them? There you go, just down, down, down. There we go. Perfect little female tracks right there. I think it's the same female. Now where do you go? Sorry, I'm just looking at the ground to see where they go. Trevor, you can't. can only tell male or female. It's really obvious when you see a male and you see a female due to size, obviously the same shape, but you can. We would only ever say... I'm just trying to decide where to go. We would only ever say it belongs to a specific individual if we know they have been there. For example, we've been with Kalamba in the morning and we can see that she gets up and we can follow her tracks. Then of course we can say these are Kalamba's tracks. Or has a limb. He's had for quite some time. Actually, so he doesn't put pressure on his right front. Leopard tracks, you always tend to know it's front right. So, I mean...
So we've just continued into these open clearings, but by the fact that they so open, it's actually still quite cold. I mean, generally the thickets are holding the temperature a little bit better. So we are looking for more bat-eared foxes that maybe haven't quite got home yet. Not the meerkats not yet coming up. It's still the sun hasn't come up over the mountain just yet. Even the birds are slow starters this morning. They normally, the only birds we've seen calling are glossy starlings. And of course the white-browed sparrow weavers. There's one. Stay, no, well, maybe... Craft is saying it looks so peaceful out there. It is indeed. We're just going to try and see if BK can find you those little chirpy chaps, the little white-browed sparrow weavers. Some on the ground feeding to the left, but I don't know. That's the light's still a little bit difficult for us at this stage. Oh, no. Must be hiding behind the grass tufts. Little white-browed sparrow weavers tend to go in their little flocks, make a lot of noise. Nope, don't find any. They're too small when they hide in the grass like that. Well, let's carry on and see. Just carry on driving and see. Normally that's when we bump into things. Watch your head, BK. Go. So while we're searching, we're going to head around and see if we can get a Makala meerkat update. We're going to send you across to Fred, who's also on a search.
Good morning and welcome to And Beyond Ngala, where we also for a search this morning. Our plan was to go past the tree where we had a female leopard yesterday with an impala carcass, and it looks like she's moved the carcass down to the base, so we didn't have any good view there. Just to introduce myself, my name is Fred, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and I think what we'll do from here is maybe head a little bit further in and go see if there's something at one of the watering holes. It was a very, very chilly morning, very, very cold, but it's nice with the sun coming out. It's definitely starting to warm up, which is nice. Actually hoping to see maybe if we can't find some large birds of prey on the top of some of these trees, also using the sun to warm up. Alex is asking, what's my favorite bird? Now that is a difficult one because I love most of the birds, but I must say my favorite one would be a martial eagle. Just for me, it's the most prestigious eagle we find out here. Just their size and just their strength. But there's a variety of different birds that I really enjoy as well. Just for their uniqueness and what they offer in terms of different colors and sounds. I mean, just thinking of a fish eagle, one of my favorite calls. I know it might be a bit of a cliche, but it really is one of my favorite calls. The little sandgrasses, and even watching, swallows, how they build their nests, and hornbills, always comical to watch. So there's so many birds that I really enjoy watching. I think every day, it doesn't matter what you can find, there'll always be a bird to put a smile on your face. But talking about birds, the watering hole we're going to now, there's a good chance maybe of seeing some Egyptian goose and little white-faced whistling ducks. Yesterday there was some woolly-neck storks and three-banded plovers. So it'll be interesting to see what else is going to be there this morning. Peter's saying Ngala's his favorite location. Well, it is a beautiful place, and I must say it's one of my favorites as well. It's actually the whole of the Kruger area is probably my favorite. Ooh, we've got a crested guinea fowl, a helmeted guinea fowl in the road there. Let's have a look. That one's a bit camera shy. The other ones are coming onto the road now. Okay, picking on some seeds there, probably from the grasses that have landed on the road. Initially I just saw the two, but now I can see a lot more coming out of the grass. So there's easily maybe 15 or 20 here that we can't see. And you can see the adults have got the beautiful blue faces, and then some of these slightly smaller ones are younger ones that have now started to get their adult color. Some of them have still got black faces. Definitely a nice group here. I think we'll sit here with them for a little bit to see what they get up to.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
And I find getting out to a local royal park brings me so much closer to nature. I can leave my pain at home. And like watching Wild Earth, I find it's the most amazing way to step out of life's difficulties and just breathe.
The chirping and fluttering of these Java finches at the feeder in our garden helps us start each day joyfully in connection with nature.
So this is our piece of nature that we've been enjoying and has been keeping us sane during lockdown. This morning we have 8 oyster catchers on our beach, which is a real treat.
Hug a tree, Steve, just for you.
I love being a cam up for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
So what we have here is a pair of very distinctive looking tracks. Now, for those of you who've seen tracks before, you might recognize this as a warthog track. Now, the reason why I know it's a warthog track is because it's very square and boxy in shape. If I would just draw a very faint square box here, or more rectangular rather, it's very much distinctive of a warthog track. Now, the front is a bit larger than the back because it's a broad animal, big shoulders, tusks, head, and all the rest, but very square in shape, not like many other animals that might be a similar size, such as an impala. The track is quite similar in size, but impala is very heart-shaped. This one's very boxy. Now, I'd like to show you another very distinctive characteristic of this particular animal's track, and is that on this particular track here, you can't see clearly the shape of it, right? You just see sort of an indentation. It's not clear, but over here, you can see these 2 little markings there. Those are what we call the dew claw or the false hoof. Now, if you get a chance to see a warthog on one of the other feeds, if you look at the feet of a warthog, there are 2 very distinctive sort of toes or digits that come out at the back of the hoof. And in deep sand like this or mud, you see them showing like this. These are called the dew claws or the false hoof. So it's just at the back of the hoof, just over there. So these animals, another animal that has that are buffaloes. You'll often see buffalo tracks in mud will also have that. Now, warthogs also have another distinctive track, which I can't see here because it's not feeding on this part of the road, but sometimes warthogs will actually bend their front legs and rest on their knuckles or their wrist, I suppose you'd call it. Almost looks like they're on their knees, and they'll put themselves down like that just to get their nose much closer to the ground to be able to use that hard snout to dig away at any roots and things. So sometimes you'll just see something that looks like this in front of a warthog track, which is just a little round knuckle-shaped thing with no distinctive track or hoof in it. And so if you see warthog tracks and then you see something that looks like this, you know it's definitely the sign of a warthog snuffling. Now you can see right now, a lot of this grass is very dry. You can see it's dry and crispy. There's not much nutrients left in these upper parts. Some of it, there's a little bit of green left. So what warthogs are looking for now, as winter progresses, the energy, the sugars, the nutrients in these plants is becoming stored in the roots. So the warthogs will be more and more using their snout, that hardened snout, as well as their tusks to dig into the grass and pull out tubers and roots and bulbs, as well as sometimes snuffling for grubs, funguses. You know, they're omnivores, so they'll even eat things like birds' eggs if they find them. So it's quite amazing to watch warthogs do this. And we know we're going to walk through zebra clearings soon, and we know there are lots of warthogs that like to hang out in that area. So we'll be looking out for any more tracks and signs, especially of them feeding. So what we're going to do, whilst we keep heading our way towards zebra clearings, we'll send you over to Lauren, who's got some birds in a tree.
Look who's out and about. Perfect visuals. Well, actually, not so perfect. We're viewing from a distance. What I've found is, if we're on Gowrie Main, it's a long-distance visual for the cameraman, but he or she is completely relaxed. When we go a little bit closer, for some reason, it ducks down and hides in the nest. Just maybe a little bit startled by the engine. Of course, the car's far away. The nest is very high up in this tree. But if we at least view from far away, we can see little chick is getting big. And very brown. You really wouldn't immediately think Battalier. Standing, preening, looking. Good morning. I think very soon we're going to start to see this little one doing a lot of wing stretches. And of course, it can't stay still forever, can it? It's got to start moving, developing muscles. Leslie Ann, you must be new to the show, as we have been following this little chick every single day, so I think the clue is in the chick. It's very, very young. I'm estimating it may be approaching 8 weeks now, but that really is a guess, just based on knowledge of their development and what sort of stage they should be at. So this chick looks really nothing like the adult. I mean, similar shape and feather arrangement, but this little chick will not get the adult plumage for a very, very long time. But I do visit this chick every single day, and it's just so wonderful to see it, especially standing tall like that on the edge of the nest. So it's definitely not an adult. I think 7 or 8 weeks, but if any of you have great knowledge about Battalier chicks, you are welcome to disagree with me. It's a tough one. We watched a spotted eagle owl grow up, and the eggs were so easy to view at eye level for us. They were up on an embankment, so we were able to follow day by day by day and learn about the development. But because this nest is extremely high up in the tree, we've missed a lot. We weren't exactly able to tell when it hatched, and we're not also able to tell what goes on inside the nest. So we've gathered as much evidence, if you like, that we can. So I am sort of making an educated guess that it's possibly around 7 to 8 weeks now. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. But it's just the most delightful little thing. It brings such joy when I see it. Especially because I sat and watched Mom on the nest day after day after day, hoping soon we were going to get a view of what hatches. Why have you positioned yourself like that, little chick? We can't see you. Well, we can, but not very well. Just watching day by day what goes on around him. Lilypan, I think I have mentioned this already, but yes, completely. It won't obtain its adult plumage until 7 to 8 years old. I'm sure you know what an adult Battalier looks like. I'm trying to see if Mom or Dad is around. And normally they are actually around. But if I do come across some, we'll show you. Really, really nothing like the adult plumage. Right now, this is just a brown ball of feathers. It's got a long way to go before it develops into an adult, or at least attains the adult plumage. And then we'll be able to tell if it's male or female. Right now, it's very tricky. Especially with this view that we have right now, it's really not great. You can just see his head moving. It's standing up. It's just not looking at us. Amy, battlers are not true eagles. So they're not said to be eagles. Eagles is also not a species. There's lots of different species of eagles. So battlers are said to be snake eagles, which are not true eagles. They don't have feathers going all the way down their legs, which is a key identification feature of real true eagles. It's a species of snake eagle. Oh, chickadee, are you not going to turn around for us? Every time I drive on Gowrie Main, I see it standing up on the nest, so I raced around to our other viewing point, and then it's not there anymore. It's obviously ducked down. Will be the best views we get this morning, but at least we saw it. It's better than nothing. So as I bumble around here, we're going to bumble you guys across to another live location.
Oh, welcome back to our drive in the bush. I wouldn't mind seeing a battler myself. We used to have a breeding pair in this area of the reserve. Actually, funny enough, often on this road, not far from here, one of these trees, I often saw them sitting because their nest was close by. I've never actually seen the nest from here, but there is a chance we might see them flying around, so I'm keeping an eye out for that. Went quickly past that watering hole, and it was interesting. There was actually nothing there at the moment. So we've decided to leave it, and we're heading now towards a little drainage line further up ahead. I'm going to go in that and do a bit of a drive through there and see what we can find. And then after that, we probably will head a little bit more to the central parts of the reserve, and maybe even a little bit further west. Because we did hear some lions roar last night from camp, which is always exciting. It gives you more or less an idea of where you want to go look for them. Right, here's the little drainage line up ahead. Okay. And it's called the Tekwan drainage line. And in the local language here is the Shangaan language. The Tekwan is Hamakop, which often use this drainage line to make their nests. But in the meantime, we're going to send you over to Tristan.
Well, we've had the best tracking mission ever. We've tracked so far following Tavangumi's tracks, and it's led us not to Tavangumi only. We've got him, and we've got, I think it's Shadulu in the tree, as well as lots of hyena tracks. I think there's a kill here somewhere, and the two of them are having a standoff. She's up the tree, and he's lying at the bottom growling at her. If I show you how far we've tracked through the blocks, it is a long way. Are you growling, boy? Why are you grumpy? It's a girl. It's not a boy that you have to worry about. But it is a long way that we went. And Paul, I think, was losing hope that we were on the right trail. We lost his track, and I thought he might come out somewhere here. And then we found lots of hyena tracks up and down. And there was a female track in it. And I said to him, Paul, I'm pretty sure there's a kill here somewhere. Just check the trees. And as I said, check the trees, he looked to the tree on his left, and he's like, oh, there's a leopard in that tree. So that's very, very cool that we managed to find both of them. They don't look very happy about each other's company. So it's not I don't think it's a very happy situation, but it is what it is. You hear him growling. I don't know, I'm going to keep quiet so you can hear him. this is all going to be part and parcel of him. His stomach is absolutely monstrous. Listen, listen. He is huge. He's eaten something massive the past few days. He looks like an absolute tank. And he's just sniffing behind us and scent marking. At first when I saw him, because of his size, I thought it might have been flat rock. If you know, flat rock doesn't come up here, but he kind of looked big in the block. So I was wondering, but it's just because he's so full. I'm going to turn around quickly just because it'll be better for us to be able to see what's going on. Also, we're going to be able to see Tswalu properly as well. Definitely was a kill here. I don't see any sign of it anymore. Given his size, he would have chased her off it if he could have, if there was meat. I think the hyenas must have stolen it from her, but we're right on the boundary. We're so lucky. This road that we're on right now is the boundary between Simbambili and Arathusa. So if they crossed this road, we wouldn't have been able to do anything. But luckily, like I say, we managed to kind of find them here. And what an epic sighting. This is so cool. I love it when you track for a long way and find them. It's not easy work sometimes tracking through these blocks. I think Mpho thought we were being mad driving the way that we were doing and kind of walking where we were, but we managed to at least come right. He's very grumbly. She's not so bad, but he's quite grumbly. I think he's going to leave her now and just go off and do his own thing. That's an absolute tank of a leopard when you see him like that. And compared to her, she's much, much, much smaller. Now, the problem is I would love to follow him, but our signal gets really bad if I follow where he is. So I'm just going to stay with Tswalu for now. Let's see if he comes back. Maybe the kill is somewhere here. He's turned kind of into Arathusa anyway, so there's not much I can do about that. And is moving off. She's still obviously in the tree just watching. I think what's happened is there's obviously been a scuffle between hyenas and her, and the noise of the hyenas has attracted him. Not that he needs any more food. His belly is absolutely massive at the moment. He is full, so he doesn't need much food. She doesn't look like she's eaten much at all. But I think the commotion of these hyenas, like I say, the whole road is just hyena and leopard tracks everywhere. So I think that, the commotion of that is what's attracted him here. He's then kind of sat and watched her, and she's going to come down pretty quick, I think, and leave the area. I don't think she wants to stay here if he's around. Ridiculous. That was so cool. So excited that we got here when we did, because otherwise, could easily have missed all of this. Just goes to show you how everything is a matter of timing. Obviously, you've got to put in a bit of work to get to the point where your timing can work. But, I get the sense if we were 15 minutes later or 20 minutes later, they're both going to be completely gone and out of our range. Still interested to see if he comes back. Maybe he'll come back now that she's moved a bit. Are you just going to watch him from there, girl? Is this a new boy that you don't know? It's bound to happen, though, with these two bumping into each other. Like I was saying, it was him and Kara and him and Tswalu had to eventually bump into one another. They're just occupying the same space all the time. So there's no ways that it couldn't. All right, well, I'm going to stay with hopefully these two cats. Hopefully he'll come back. In the meantime, let's send you across to Deirdre with some meerkats.
So we've got the macalas are playing up a storm this morning. 3 little youngsters in the front. and everyone else is zipping around, knocking each other over, tackling each other, and just having an absolute blast. And it's amazing, just the little bit of difference that the sun makes for them with a little bit more energy. And then you just scent mark the pup. So that is important, that everybody smells like each other. So these little pups also about 3 weeks to a month now. They are also foraging with the adults. Just absolutely beautiful to just watch them play. Sassy Bee's just saying that they love these things. Today particularly active. Oh, isn't that just precious? There's two in the grass just having a proper tussle, and there is one in the tree, the one taking serious sentry duty. There's constant sort of chatter from the sentry, so that everybody knows that he's still on duty, and he's just reassuring them that he's on watch. BK nearly got run over by a meerkat. Almost right over his toes. They are so busy playing, they're not even looking where they're going. Everybody wants in on the game. But this biting, tackling, playing, it's all essential life skills. It's how they're going to get away from a predator. It's how they're going to tackle prey that's slightly larger. And also, yeah, potentially how they'll defend themselves. That one squashed in like a little meerkat sandwich. So we'll stay with him a little bit. They're still here and quite active. We'll see if we can bring them to you again.
We all have a busy schedule and a lifestyle which is confined to stress and tensions. For so many of us, the hustle and bustle of a tedious life has meant we have lost our inner peace. Traveling is an ultimate remedy that lets us unwind and helps us experience peace in the lap of nature. Wild Earth encourages the benefits of travel by giving away an amazing prize every month.
I was totally overwhelmed to receive this fantastic prize of 3 nights at Chitwa Chitwa. Wild Earth has been a lifesaver for us during the pandemic and has kept us sane. Thank you so very much, Wild Earth.
Sign up to be an explorer today, and it could be you jetting off on an all-expenses-paid-for safari experience. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature. The Mara Triangle is a jewel in the Kenyan conservation crown, and thanks to the dedication of the Mara Conservancy, it thrives as one of Earth's greatest national treasures.
We have been experiencing a reduction in the whale snails that we collect on a monthly basis, and this is basically attributed to our intense patrols.
Over the years, this courageous team of anti-poachers has reduced poaching to almost zero.
Mimi naitwa Stephen Olereso. Nimefanya kazi miaka 16 sasa. Kuanzia miaka 2002. Hao wanadamu ni wenye utua sana inaogofya ni wale wenye wanaenda kama ndovu. Wanatumia kama bunduki. Sasa hiyo ndio huwa inakuanga hatari sana kwa sisi.
As a result of the global pandemic and the massive reduction in tourist revenue, the Mara Triangle is facing a financial crisis. They need your help if they are to continue their ability to protect this magical land.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
So we didn't have to go very far to find the lion tracks that we knew would be in this area, although we see something a bit different now. These tracks are not that large. As you can see there, I've put my Leatherman down, so they're slightly longer than the Leatherman, but not so broad and deep as they should be if they were a male lion. So I believe that this is probably the tracks of a female, which might explain why these 2 male lions were seen coming into this area, or at least their tracks were seen coming into this area. As you can see, they probably followed this lioness. I think it's a single lioness. It could be Lagatha, and this is her right back paw or footprint. I can tell it's the right side because their toes roughly follow the shape of our fingers. So you can see my first finger goes there, second, third, and fourth. So you can see that's the right-hand side. If I put my left hand there, it doesn't quite fit right. It looks a bit wrong. See that? So their structure roughly follows our hand structure. Fine. I don't know if that's any better, but in any case, these 3 here are the back of the pad. These are the 4 toes. No claw marks. Okay, my audio is back. That's good to hear. So there are no claws, which is quite typical. If this was a hyena, the track might have been a bit smaller without these 3 lobes, and definitely with distinct claw marks here. All right, that's good to see. And she's heading in a southerly direction, walking directly along what is our main north-south road in Pridelands Reserve. And I'm sure at some point she's going to come out into a drainage line, and she might even stay in this area. We know that she hunts here in this part of Pridelands quite frequently. She loves zebra clearing, which is just here to our sort of south and west. So we're going to actually walk down into those clearings now in the hopes that we might find more tracks of her or these males moving through this area. And there were a few zebras that we saw crossing a little bit earlier. In fact, I can still see their tails moving in there. I wonder if they've seen that lion last night. Well, Angela, tracks can be quite difficult to ID in dry sand because if it's been windy or if there's been lots of vehicle activity, certainly the tracks will get damaged quite quickly. So actually we can show you these tracks again just to have a look at, let me just find one right over here. So Angela, if you look at this track here, you can see that it's not as crisp as the first one that we saw. You can see that it's a little bit washed out, and that's because of vehicle activity. I think there have been 2 cars that drove here, and there's no wind. So without the wind, this part here would be much more shiny, but you can see it's already starting to get dimpled with a bit of dust and small sand that's there. So that's one way we can tell the difference. In mud, this would stay looking fresh for a very, very long time. There's one just over there, which is even more washed out, even more difficult to see. So Angela, this kind of sand can be tricky, especially if there's a bit of wind. If there's wind, it will disappear in moments in this sort of very unsheltered environment, which is a really nice way for us to tell the freshness. If it was windy and we saw very crispy tracks, then we know that we're probably going to bump into this lion very soon. Well, while we now turn our direction and see if we can find these tracks heading into zebra clearings, we will send you over to Deirdre, who's still with her meerkats.
So it's another sentry up in the tree. One decided to climb up, then there were 2 in the tree, and the one pretty much almost fell out the tree, was replaced. So duty's been taken over by somebody else, and very good balance. It's just literally sort of casually holding on to one little twig and balancing in a tree that's got branches that are no thicker than your tiny finger. Pretty impressive. They're not exceptionally heavy. A meerkat weighs less than 1 kilo or 1 kilogram, so not too heavy. But this particular burrow system's had a lot of grass cover from the rains, so they keep moving around and popping out of different holes, which is a bit of a challenge for BK this morning, because now they're literally all on the other side of the burrow system. I can see them, but they look like they're going to head out foraging now. Most of them are making a move. Yeah, there they go. They're on their way. They're heading west. You just get a little bit of a chip, 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 chip. When they get to a certain point, then the sentry will come down and head across to get up into another tree, possibly, to check out if there's any dangers. Just a little chut, chut, chut every now and again. Zuzia is saying, the cutest king of the castle ever. Agreed. I just like that sort of casual way that hand is just holding on to the branch. Balancing. So others have just basically moved about 20 meters away to another hole. They're all standing by there with the pups, but the pups have started to go foraging with the adults. So now each adult adopts at least one pup that will follow them. And as the adult finds food, they learn the behavior of how to scratch and dig and find your own food. But at the same time, the adult also gives them food, and they start learning pretty quickly. Within a month, they'll start feeding themselves. And Sentry has a very, very important job to do. All the meerkats have left the burrow. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts making his way down to catch up to them. Oh, careful. At least that one's not a thorn tree. It's a little bit more precarious if there's lots of thorns on the bushes. I think he's enjoying the sun just as much. So, we're going to leave them. They're going to go foraging soon. We're going to send you across to Pridelands, who's got some stripes on the move.
Certainly are on the move. These are the zebra that we had seen earlier on zebra plains, and they are moving south in the direction that the tracks are going. I wonder if they know what they're getting into. Although zebras are very powerful, I don't think they're in major danger from a single lioness. If there were some foals there, I would say it would be more risky for them. But what's nice is that with the sun behind us and a bit of shade here, they almost certainly don't really know that we're here. And the wind is blowing perfectly in our direction as well, which is great for us. Shade, I often find, is almost as important as having actual bushes and shrubs in front of you, just to remain hidden from animals. These zebras have been doing some feeding in this big open clearing, probably warmed up now, and now they're moving amongst the trees where they can get some more of the sheltered grasses that might still be green, haven't yet been burnt off by the sun, and also a bit of shade for themselves. See those tails always vigorously swishing back and forth, because even though it's winter, animals attract flies, especially for their things like horseflies, which can bite and draw blood. You can hear impalas in the background as well, snorting and making noise. It's still the very tail end of the rutting season, so the male impalas are still making lots of noise, still chasing females back and forth. And in fact, male impalas at this time of year are being hunted much more frequently than anything else. These zebras will be quite safe from lions' attentions and the attentions of other predators as long as there are male impalas making a lot of noise, constantly snorting and roaring, attracting the predators. The predators always know where they are, and these males are so preoccupied with trying to get females. There, you can even see an impala running in the background there. I don't know if you saw that there, Gert. It's very difficult, but there was an impala running behind where the zebras just went in. So they're constantly running and chasing each other around, means that they're not paying attention to what's around them, and they can easily be caught and hunted, or hunted and caught by the predators in the area, of which we know there are at least 3 lions in this area somewhere, as well as probably a few leopards. You know, leopards are always very secretive. We never quite know how many there are around, but certainly a few of them. Using areas like the far end of zebra clearings here, where the thickets start, we've got some drainage lines. Lucas, you know, there are a lot less flies in winter than there are in summer. They can't breed as effectively, they can't really proliferate, but there are a few of them still, because when it's so dry like this, I mean, winters here in southern Africa are quite temperate. They're never very, there's a bit of noise behind us. I think the zebras are there's some more zebras trying to come to us. But they just got a bit of a fright as they came through the drainage line. So, Lucas, there's always going to be some flies around because winters here in southern Africa are quite moderate. It's very warm, in fact, even hot sometimes during the day, and at night it's very cold. So as long as flies and other insects can remain hidden from the worst of that chilly, cold wind, they can survive. And of course, because it's so dry, they tend to flock around us. They'll be coming to our eyes, noses, mouths to try and get moisture. They love the salt that's in our sweat. Can you see anything there? I can hear them moving around in those thickets. I think they just caught our scent as they came up through the drainage line. Can you hear that? Sorry, zebra, we didn't mean to frighten you. What we'll do is we'll move out of this zebra's way so they can come up into this clearing as well, follow the others. In the meantime, we'll send you over to Tristan, who's also on a bit of a mission.
Well, unfortunately, we had to make way as well because the two leopards crossed into Arathusa and we couldn't follow, which makes me very, very sad. That was a lot of work for not very long with them, but anyway, it's okay. I want to show you quickly just how far we tracked this morning and how far this cat moved, or both cats. I don't understand though, because I think Kara's also there. I looked around, I didn't find her, but we had tracks crossing over. Let me put it here so there's some decent light. Oh, this is the wrong map. I forgot. We actually were on Simbambili. But anyway, I'll kind of run you through it because it's kind of roughly where we can see. So last night, Tavangumi was found when we finished game drive at about 7 o'clock. He was found on Sandy Patch Road over here, right, hunting impalas. From there, it looks like he cut through the block. Vuyatela access up to the gate. On the gate, he came down Triple M. Then he cut through here, like this, and then continued in a southwesterly direction till about here. This is the power line road over here, and those two cats were, if you were off the map, just on the left-hand side here. And so he kind of went all the way along, down through, past everything. And when I started to see him walking past impalas and fresh tracks, I started to think that there was something up and he was maybe looking for something, because his behavior indicates normally that he likes to walk and then stop and hunt. And now, the other day, to give you an idea, it took him 3 hours to do this, round, and here. And this track that we had this morning is on top of all the vehicle tracks from this morning, including a vehicle that drove this morning. So it took him an hour today to do pretty much the same distance off onto the kind of western side of this map. But interestingly enough, and why I'm a bit confused, because I'm not sure either of those cats had that kill, is because he went down and he was there. Her tracks crossed my tracks from this morning. Where I drove here this morning and then up and picked up his tracks. Her tracks come over mine, across, and to that kill. And why I say I think maybe Kara's around is because I picked up her track coming in as well to Simbambili and going down. So maybe she was the one that had the kill. Hyenas stole it, and these two cats have responded to that hyena situation, and she would have then made away. Kara would have definitely been very intimidated by the fact that Tavangumi and Shidulu were there. But like I say, they walked a long way west. I mean, it's difficult with this map because I don't have the ability to show you, but it's easily, if we had to use this as a scale, he would have probably been, if this is vertical access, the kind of distance he would have walked is probably closer towards this side, to the eastern side of Djuma. So he kind of crossed all the way through. And it's the furthest I've seen his tracks west in the last few weeks since we've been starting to see him. He generally is just hanging around this section, but, these days he's starting to kind of move around. What was interesting as well with it is that he wasn't actually that interested in Shidulu. He was quite grumbly with her and growling and whatever, and then walked off. But she actually followed him, scent marking the whole time. So I don't know if she's coming into an estrus cycle and new male, or a false estrus, new male. I'm going to mate with him, just try to get him on my side so that he doesn't hurt. That could be the case, but he's not having any of it. From what I can understand is he's just motoring straight south at the moment, not wanting to be anywhere near her, and she's just kind of trailing behind him, scent mark, and going. So at one point it seems like she's still actively kind of following him, and then apparently it sounds like Tortoise Pan and Tiani are also together somewhere inside there. So lots of leopards in the west at the moment. But unfortunately, we just didn't have the space to be able to continue them, which makes me very, very sad. Like I say, a lot of tracking effort for very short sighting, but it's the way it goes. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Talking about winning and losing, let's send you across to Lauren and see if she's won this morning. All of you.
Tristan, don't be sad. I have most definitely not won on my side. Our little tracks crossed out, our least favourite thing to see on drives. And
unfortunately, is very quiet on this side of the world. I'm heading to Buffelshoek Dam, and then I'm going to go straight back into the hyena den. What is the time? 8:15. Okay. It's warmer, marginally, and it's a lot later, so I'm just going to try the hyena den and see if anybody's awake. Unless they're just completely fully nocturnal now. And the moms, of course, are very busy doing other things, i.e. eating. Okay, we have reached Buffelshoek Dam. See a hippo. Sometimes it's just nice to scan around the dam. Buffelshoek Dam is still very, very full. I remember walking right across this dam. It was cracked, it was open, it was like another planet, what you would imagine Mars to look like. In 2018, there was not one single drop of water, nothing. But this year is extremely full. The water levels will be reducing, but it'll take time before this dam completely empties. And the hippo from Twin Dams has disappeared. Twin Dams was obviously not the best place. We spotted it one day and next day gone. Dobby, if you just look down here at 3 o'clock, there's a dragonfly. Do you see it? I think it's a southern banded gruntling. I think.
How far on?
Just down here. In the middle there. You see him?
Is it at the water or before it?
Yep, there you go, you got him, center frame. Oh, would you look at that? It is a southern banded gruntling. Very common species, especially around water bodies. We had an incredible damselfly sighting the other day that we still haven't really got to the bottom of. I spoke to Picky, I spoke to you, and I've spoke to a few others. And I do feel she drowned accidentally, although it is believed that some species of dragonflies can hold a bubble of air in their wings and submerge themselves to lay eggs. It was a black sprite that we had, and I'm not entirely sure they do that. So she'd obviously tried to rest on a branch or a piece of vegetation and went under. It was very sad, but at the same time fascinating to see. And of course, damselflies and dragonflies are extremely closely related. But this is a dragonfly. Oh, sometimes they come right back. And sometimes they don't. Oh, there it is, on the other branch. You can see its reflection. Tom, you love the wing patterns. It's very obvious. They're actually really easy to identify, these ones, with the black blotches, if you like. Clear wings, but they've just got those black sort of big blobs at the end of their wings. They're very easy, but a beautiful species. Just getting warm enough for all the dragonflies and the damselflies and the butterflies and the insects to start getting mobile. Really, if it isn't warm enough, you won't see them buzzing around. Fiona, water attracts life. So around the water, as you saw there was lots of other little insects. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in freshwater bodies. Flies, gnats, all sorts of insects are attracted to water, as many of them rely on it And of course, dragonflies are the predators of these smaller insects, especially gnats and mosquitoes. So they're here to hunt, really. You'll find them all around, but particularly around water bodies, they're here to hunt with a 95% success rate. They're aerial hunters. So they catch their prey out of the sky, which is really remarkable. They can create a little basket with their 6 legs. They can put them in the shape of a basket, like sort of the baskets we use when we go to the grocery stores, and just completely grab their prey out of the sky. And they're very, very successful due to their flying techniques and their incredible eyesight, 360-degree eyesight. And that's why they're found around water bodies, because their food is here. Okay, we're going to bumble inwards now and try and get to the hyena den, and let's hope for once it's active.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature. The Endangered Wildlife Trust fights at the forefront of conservation, across the vast Karoo and sweeping grasslands, in remote pockets of forest, along road networks, across African skies, and in communities to conserve our wildlife and wild spaces. Help us to protect forever, together. Donate now at ewt.org.za.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially sub-adults and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back to Tswalu. That's the view of what we've got down the road. Is little white butt cheeks of the sable. Oh, thank you very much. Nice for you to stop and turn around and stare. Beautiful. Oh, no, it's going to carry on down the road. So he's probably having a look at the giraffe that we've also found on the right-hand side. So BK will pan. He's far down the road, but those little white spots make it very easy for us to see him. And we've got quite a big journey of giraffe. I can see there's at least 6, maybe more. And they're all busy feeding on the tops of the blackthorns. Looks like a mixed group. More females than males, from what I can see. So that's the difficulty for a giraffe eating a blackthorn, is a blackthorn's much shorter than a giraffe, so they do have to bend down to eat it. The camel thorns are a little bit easier. That's a nice female giraffe. At a distance you can see tufted hair on the top of the ossicones, as well as they're quite narrow in shape. And that's another female coming in. Sarah's asking the question, why do female and males' ossicones look different in giraffe? The males spend a lot more time fighting. They're a lot broader, so they're almost covered in a harder cap, so that is male, but a younger male you can see almost smooth on top, and that's from fighting with their neck, so they constantly sort of knock at each other with the neck, whereas the females not fighting in that way at all. A little bit more decorative for a female than useful, but for a male certainly very, very useful. Between the ossicones and that sort of bump on the front of the face, those help with fighting. That's still a relatively young giraffe. And there's now a nice comparison. Also a very young female, relatively short horns actually, or short ossicones. I like the fact that their mane is also almost like a perfect length right across. It's like somebody's taken clipping shears and just sheared a straight line across the top of the mane. Millie's asking the question if we ever find giraffe feeding on grass. I've never seen it, Millie. I mean, I've seen them picking up wild cucumber off the ground, and I've seen them picking up bones off the ground, so they can bend down to where their feet are, and also how they drink water. But I've never seen them eating grass. There's just a nice example there of how some of the giraffe here at Tswalu are very, very light in colour versus others that are relatively dark, and those two are standing next to each other and you could see a clear colour difference. They're actually quite busy, busier than normal. All of them are moving, eating a little bit, moving, eating a little bit. Normally it's a lot slower process with giraffe. It seems like they're just all moving to catch up with the ones in the front that were moving. But the nice part about this particular area that they're in is that they can see each other from far, so they can maintain the group, which is always with giraffe known as a loose association, because it can chop and change. They can come and go as they please, whether it's all males, all females, mixed groups like this one, mothers and just calves. They come and go as they please. I think today's like it's going down the grocery aisle. I'll have a little bit of this, I'll have a little bit of that. Oh, maybe try this, walk down the aisle a little bit more, have a little bit more of that. Because they certainly aren't feeding any long length of time on one bush. They're just moving, sort of sampling as they go. Jason is asking, we're just going to move forward to try and get a better view. Jason is asking the question, are giraffes normally found in family groups? So when we use the term loose association, they come and go as they please. So if it's a young calf that stays with the mother for a time frame, and then once it's old enough, if it's a male, it'll go and join a bachelor group or go and be by itself. But yeah, they come and go. I don't think anyone's actually studied them that much to know if relatives, almost like an elephant herd, if mothers and daughters and sisters stay together. I don't know of any study like that. But giraffe are happy to be by themselves with others and in mixed groups. But there'll always be a close bond between a mother and a child. There's definitely more than 6. I don't know, BK, can you... There's definitely more than 6, at least 8, potentially even more. I think there's another 2 smaller ones coming at the back there. Might have to go forward just a little bit. Oh, there it's coming, okay. Nice, thank you. Just keep walking into the shot, that's perfect. So also a nice young female. So most of the trees now don't have much new growth on them. The growing season's pretty much come to a halt going into winter. So it's not like the leaves on the edges of the trees are fresh and soft and tender. But just look at how that tongue works, just sort of helps them pull the branches or the leaves right off the branches.
Greg, would you say that the population of the giraffe is growing in Tswalu?
Greg is asking the question, would you say that the population of giraffe is growing in Tswalu? So yes, they do quite well, because they also don't necessarily, giraffe in most areas don't have a lot of predators. So they have grown quite successfully in Tswalu over the years. I think sometimes they enjoy the sun as much as the meerkats do, as much as BK and I are at the moment also enjoying the sun. It's much better than the colder temperatures we started with this morning. So as this giraffe continues shopping down the aisle, we're going to send you to Lauren, who's also on a bumble.
We have made it to Gowrie Dam. We're doing a bit of a dam day today, just to see what is happening around here. I'm going to stop a little bit closer to the tree. Oh. That is a huge monitor lizard. Do you see that, Dobby? Wow, we've been seeing a lot of small ones around, a lot of little sort of newly hatched lizards, but this one is a monster. There's a fully grown monitor lizard right here. They're always on this tree. This is a sort of fallen over knobthorn, a dead knobthorn, and it's becoming more and more exposed. It's just nice to check every day or two the water levels. You can semi-gauge it from this tree. I mean, not accurately so, but you can see every day the water levels are dropping. This monitor lizard looks very fat and cuddly, I must say. And it's tough being a reptile in winter. Not like us. We can't obviously just fuel ourselves, warm ourselves with food. It's not so simple when you're ectothermic. Insects are also ectothermic, just like the dragonfly we were just looking at. We really need that sun, solar powered. If ambient temperatures get too low, they can literally render themselves completely immobile. Is that a tiny small one coming in over there, Dobby? Is he swimming? Right close to... oh, okay, that wasn't what I was looking at, but wow, what's happening here? Oh, it's a little fight between two young ones. Wow, well spotted. a medium-sized one. There's water monitors everywhere. You can see that's one of the juvenile ones. It's extremely small, especially in comparison to the huge one we were just looking at initially. Davi, there's another tiny one, I think. See, going up the tree at the very end in that fork. Yeah. These must be the new hatchlings. They're oh my goodness, I've just spotted another tiny one. You see, at about 1 o'clock, just below the fallen log, in the vegetation, yes, there's another one. Far too many. Of just hanging out on a fallen over tree. I've actually climbed on this tree before. We used to do that during bushwalk. But recently it's just been completely covered with all the water that we received in summer. Okay, I think we're just going to sit at Gowrie Dam a little bit longer and see what else we can find. But for now, over to Mike.
So we've managed to come across a huge raiding party of hissing ants. You can see these ants are scouring this edge of a mud wallow looking for termites. They've found a pile of elephant dung which had some termite activity on it, but the termites have managed to mostly escape and not many have been caught. But the ants are still spending quite a long time searching for entrances to this colony here. A few of the hissing ants are carrying a termite or two, but it's really not a successful raid just yet. They will find more. They will find more entrances. So there's oftentimes two different sizes of hissing ants, small ones and big ones, and the small ones get sent into the termite holes in order to sting and paralyze and immobilize the termites and then bring them out for the larger ants to carry. Now, these ants were also known as matabele ants, but more commonly known as hissing ants because of the hissing sound they make when they feel threatened. Now, none of these ants are making any noise at all, which tells me that they are not feeling threatened, which is great. Even though we are very large, we're not touching them or disturbing them from what they're doing. And every now and again I can see one of these hissing ants with just over there. I don't know if you can focus on that one. This one here has got a red thing stuck to its head. That is the head of a termite that has attacked it and then been broken off just in there. Oh, it's very difficult to point out, but it's quite amazing. So the termites also have a defense. They can be chemically defend by spraying a type of acid, or they can simply have soldiers that bite and damage the hissing ant. There it is over there, just moving. You can see that red head of a termite stuck to this one over there. That's amazing. So with enough. The termite colony is much larger than the hissing ant colony. This raid consists of probably a few hundred or maybe even up to 1,000 hissing ants. The termites can be many, many millions in the colony, so of course they have much more resources to bring to fight off these hissing ants. Oh, Gert, you've managed to find... Ah, yes. Gert's managed to find where they've got an entrance. And now you can see these ants have many, many more termites in their mouths. So all along here with this dead grass, there must be lots and lots of termites. And so these ants are using their sensors, using their antenna to pick up the scents and pheromones of these termites and then send in the soldiers. You can actually see the small ones going in and bringing out termites and then leaving them outside for the larger ants to carry away. That's amazing. Liam, it's almost exclusively termites, yes. And if you look here, this is a pile of termites that they've managed to bring out. Just over there. See there? Just in there. And here, there are lots and lots of termites being laid out for the larger hissing ants to pick up. Oop, I've disturbed them slightly by disturbing some of the grasses. You can't hear the hissing, but they're hissing quite a lot right now. So yes, Liam, they mostly eat termites, although I'm sure when termites are scarce, they will eat other things as well. Oh, that's so cool, you can hear that. So this is now, Gert and I have to be quite careful because there are hundreds, if not almost 1,000 of these hissing ants, and they can sting. They're in the family of wasps. So they can sting very aggressively, and they can sting more than once, not like bees. These things can sting over and over again, and so we just need to stand very still. So that they don't feel threatened by us and end up stinging or hurting us. So now they seem to be mostly heading back to where they came from. They've been successful. They've managed to get lots of food for their colony, and they're going to take it all back. So this raiding party will take it back to the main nest. Shireas, it is incredibly fascinating. I love watching these things. I'd love to make a time-lapse video of them heading to a termite colony and then coming out. How quick it is. It's really lightning fast. But I can also see a lot of the hissing ants without anything in their mandibles and not carrying anything. So it's quite possible that the termites mounted a successful defense. So even though it looks like the ants got away with lots and lots of termites, in reality it's a very tiny fraction of the colony. So the termites probably threw enough soldiers and enough chemical defense that the Matabele ants have decided to head out. And what's really interesting is they've been known to even carry wounded soldiers. These Matabele ants, or the hissing ants, will often pick up wounded individuals and carry them back to the nest, which is, I think, very interesting for an arthropod.
If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions. Join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day. For many years, Wild Earth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
So most of the hissing ants have now come out of the grassy thickets, and they're making their way back where they came from. And now you can really see them clambering back over that elephant dung, which they first were exploring, and heading along with the spoils of war. And they emerged from this grass just in front here. So I think that's where their nest is. So it doesn't look like they traveled very far to find food. And they don't stay in the same nest site forever. We see them frequently, especially during the summer months, relocating their nests, probably in response to water infiltration or perhaps being too long in one place and, build-up of parasites. Because just like any animal that makes a nest or a den, these ants can also be parasitized by many things. And so eventually they'll have to find a new spot. That's really amazing. You can really see how many of them are now carrying sometimes 4 or 5 termites even. They really seem much, much more organized than most different types of ants, which are usually quite crazy. Rosh, that's a good question. Termite mounds are usually, a very huge mound created by termites as they excavate underground, and then they make these huge mounds using their saliva and mud, and it looks very, very big and very impressive. Many of our species anyway, not all of them. Whereas ant heaps or ant hills, usually loose sand that just gets displaced out of the hole as they excavate. Usually much smaller. Usually don't have such an obvious huge mound. Like these Matabele ants or hissing ants, they just have a hole in the ground, literally a little circular hole, which we sometimes see them emerging out of or going back into. And that's all it is. It's just literally a tiny little hole. Oh, there's a really nice soldierly procession there that you can see nicely on the open soil. This is really one of the hugest termite raiding parties I've ever seen. It just seems to go on forever. This must be a very impressive and successful ant colony or nest. Usually it's just, 100 individuals, maybe 200. This is really maybe even more than 1,000. It's at least stretching 10 meters and no sign of it slowing down. We're just discussing if we were asleep, let's say lying down here and you weren't paying attention and these things climbed over you, how scary that would be, because each of them can sting. They won't hurt us in any way unless they feel really threatened. So if we were squeezing them or roll over them, then they would sting us. But they're on their way home, and we're also going to start making our way back towards the camp. In the meantime, we'll send you over to a feathered friend.
Welcome back to Panda, everybody. Haven't had much luck with those lions, but we have come across quite an interesting little scene here that you've got in picture with a whole bunch of juvenile white-faced whistling ducks jumping up and diving down to the bottom of this little watering hole. And this watering hole doesn't hold its water very well, so I can't imagine that it's that deep where they are there. It must be just feeding off the bottom, maybe finding little bits of aquatic vegetation and things like that down at the bottom there that they're feeding off, but it's quite interesting to see them leap up and then plunge straight down into the depths. It's almost like watching a pod of dolphins. Such interesting behavior. I don't think I've ever seen ducks like this. But they come up and then plunge straight back down, head first into the depths. You can see they haven't quite got that very distinct white face or that brownish plumage on their chest just yet, but they are still quite young. But you can see they're slowly but surely coming into it, and a good bunch of them still there. The last time I was here, I think we managed to film the parents with about 12 or 13 chicks, and it looks like the majority of them have survived quite a long way. But beautiful to see them displaying such interesting behavior this morning here at this watering hole. A little bit further off to the right are a couple of hippos that are relatively quiet. They probably now trying to find a cozy spot to rest for the day after having been out grazing for the majority of the evening. We're going to send you off to Lauren, who's had some luck with the cat.
We're on our way to a sighting, and we bumped into someone else. You gotta love that. I think we bumped into Dark Mane, judging from the dark mane and the way he's walking. He's walking the exact way that we want to go. Yeah, that looks like Dark Mane to me. Hello, boy. It's you again. Oh no, don't go through the block. We're gonna go through the block. Let's just see how easy stroke difficult this could be. There's another way around. He's there. Yeah, this is not difficult at all. We'll be able to catch up with him. See where on earth he is actually going. The Avoca Coalition were born, I believe, in 2013. So that makes them coming up for 8 now, depending on when they were born, give or take. And Dark Mane's naturally part of the Avoca Coalition. He's gone right behind that bush. But what's interesting is there are impala nearby. Let me just see if I can go forward. He's back on the road. Okay. Probably going to get hit in the face here. There we go. Completely changed his direction now. So it looks like maybe since we had him last, Avi and I had him 2 nights ago, that there's a possibility he didn't meet his pride. He didn't meet the Talamatis. He's back on Buffelshoek. Sorry, I'm not sure if I said that, but we're on Buffelshoek. literally just a few seconds ago, there was male impalas fighting right there. So I wonder if he heard them. But they are long gone. Where are you going, boy? As long as they need, as long as they're hungry. They can hunt alone. They absolutely will hunt alone. They're huge animals. I think I need to take my jacket off now. It's getting rather warm. And, I mean, they can hunt a scrub here, which will keep their tummies full for not very long, I would imagine. And then, again, they'll need to eat and keep eating and keep eating. And then, naturally, they will have to go and hunt something a little bit bigger, like an impala. But they can hunt an impala every single night if they want. Bigger prey species, they're powerful enough to do so, but it's better if they have either their pride mates or their coalition mates. It's a little bit trickier. A lot of cooperation to take down a much bigger animal, be it a buffalo, zebra. These animals are powerful. One kick from a zebra to the face and it's not going to end well. I'm smelling something. Look at those ears. You are cute, dark maid. And this is what happens. They split from the pride. And they don't necessarily reunite straight away. He will. He absolutely will. I think it's been a few days now. The Talamatis were not found yesterday. He's scent marking the exact same way that leopards do. Rub his sebaceous glands into the vegetation and, of course, the scoosh scoosh. Exactly the same as leopards. There's no sort of difference in their technique or the mechanism. Naturally, the chemical signature, the scent that he's giving off is not... It's not a leopard scent, but it's the exact same way that they do that. They've got specialized sebaceous glands in their cheeks and they rub that onto the vegetation. Then, of course, they use their urine, which contains marking fluid, and their feces also contains special fluids, and that also acts as a special way to mark your territory, mark your presence. Looks like he's got a beautiful back tattoo. You've got to love that when you're trying to make your way somewhere else and bump into the one thing you're not expecting. But he's mobile. I mean, it's only just starting to get warmer, so the predators nowadays are mobile a lot sooner. A lot longer, in the day because, well, the temperatures are definitely not as high. Okay, we're going to decide what to do because he's going into a very tricky drainage line now, and we're going to send you guys down to Tswalu.
So it's always very exciting for us to see a secretary bird, but not one, there are actually two. So, quite nice. To the left. Oh yeah, there's the other one. Okay, to the right. So, a nice pair. Beautiful, beautiful birds. So, oh, this one. The left one's got something. The left one was stomping at something, its wings were in the air. Oops, there we go. It just had breakfast. So you just see a hustle of activity. It's feet are working overtime. It stomps on whatever it wants to subdue, and then it probably had to chase it a little bit, which is why the wings were up. And then it just gobbles it and moves on. So, yeah, secretary bird kill. So they're effectively sort of hunting, pacing through the grass. So insects, locusts, crickets, even snakes. And that's probably their main food source, is reptiles. Snakes and lizards. Oh, there we go. Whop. And now it's got to look for it and eat. Williamson is saying, what a brilliant find. I've only seen secretary birds. This is only my second time seeing secretary birds on Tswalu. To be able to put them on live and show you them with their hunting technique is amazing. Rodents also don't stand a chance with that big foot. Oh, that was something small. So they like these relatively short grass areas. It gives them very good visibility, and they're just constantly just moving up and down, looking for anything that moves is possible prey. So a secretary bird pair will be monogamous, meaning mating for life, and they do have a really, really large nest. It's over 1 meter wide in circumference, and generally on a tree that's anywhere from 1.5 meters to 2 meters above the ground, almost on the canopy or the top of a tree, so it's easier for them for flying in and landing. And then those the feathers on the top of the head are just decorative, but the reason why they've got the name secretary bird is because it looks like they've got quills in their hair. So we're going to just enjoy these secretary birds for a minute, and we're going to send you across to Pinder's waterhole.
Welcome back to Pinder, everybody. Just quietly been spending a little bit of time with those white-faced whistling ducks and a couple of hippo here at this watering hole, who, by the looks of things, those hippo are slowly but surely wanting to come back out, maybe to try warm up. It is, with this breeze, quite a crisp morning, and it's not uncommon to find them lying outside of the water during the day, but maybe also, like those birds, finding bits and pieces to eat off the bottom there. This watering hole was completely dry at the beginning of the year and has filled up significantly, but like I said earlier, it doesn't hold its water very well. And they've just been swimming around there, and it looked like they were getting out just now, but then came back into the water. But also has the potential to maybe not be as hot of a day as yesterday, but they might just end up resting heads on each other's backs, just sleeping. And you'll see that egret at the back also looking for a morsel to eat, maybe frogs and the likes that might be hiding in the reeds there closer to the back end, and very similar to scenes that you'd imagine in the delta. There are those paths that have been carved out by the hippos as they leave to and from the water, that egret's making good use of, trying to find its breakfast. And the breeze picking up quite a bit more. Off to our right hand side now that you see what Odie's got in picture for us. I quite like the term that he used just now, convention of thick knees, parked around this watering hole. Also got that very distinct call that you hear now in the background is the white-faced whistling duck. It's cool. But those thick knees all just staring into the water. It looked like they are deep in thought, those birds there next to the the side of this body of water. Those lions seem to have disappeared. We heard monkeys alarming and going ballistic earlier on, but there is a lovely drainage line that is probably quite nice and cool where they'll rest and spend the majority of the day. So they'd moved from where they were here last night to a little bit further back behind us. Sadly, no luck with them, but nice to spend time here at this watering hole to see things come and go, see what the hippos get up to, that very interesting behavior from the whistling ducks that you saw earlier on, but just really beautiful scenes here off to the west. You can see quite a bit of cloud building up. I wonder if we won't get a more overcast afternoon later on. But yeah, I'm sure you can hear that wind whistling in the background. Quite a steady breeze starting to pick up. Thomas, you're asking if hippos ever chase birds away. I can imagine they do, especially things like Egyptian geese that you often find with every body of water in southern Africa. If they get a little bit too close and maybe you catch a hippo on the wrong day, I can imagine that they'll chase them away. Maybe the overly protective mothers, if they've got a calf with them, they'll chase them away just because they can. But nice to see that one now. Incredibly big body, and you're only seeing really the top half of it coming out, but they feel safest in the water. So if there's anything that's in their way coming back to the water or where they are close by to them, they'll most certainly chase them. And that one's probably just gone down on its haunches as it levitates. There you see a bit more of its body. Let's wait and see if it comes out of the water towards the end. Incredibly large. You can see that very pink complexion of their skin. So obviously very sensitive to the sun, but now that we're starting to come into winter, the sun is obviously not as harsh. Nice to see its tail now that you see in the back of the picture, with those little bits of hair. You otherwise don't see those very often because they are underwater. But that one, like we mentioned, those paths there, busy carving another one out of this reedy section of the watering hole. Tiny little ears that when its head goes under, it will sort of keep tucked away its head. Have a look at the back there as it defecates, with its tail wagging it and spreading it all around. Eyes above, looking for where it's going next. Ears just listening out and moving through, quite well camouflaged there now as well, in that patch of grass that looks quite dead now compared to the rest of the area, which is still really lush and green. In fact, super well camouflaged. Slowly but surely just wading across that area, still finding bits and pieces to eat. And slow and steady for that hippo, in no rush this morning. Haley, you're asking why some of this grass is brown. It's grass that would not normally be covered in water. As I was saying earlier on, this was completely dry, so it was lush and green like the rest, but just this influx of water to where they are now is just sort of killed the majority of the grass in here. Towards the back end, you can see where that egret was a little bit earlier on, is still really nice, lush and green grass, but this here just too much water, and I can't imagine that it was getting much sunlight. But now that it's starting to recede a bit, the water level, you are able to see that it's no longer alive, that grass. So that hopefully answers your question. You might just be able to hear that water wading through the water at the back, that hippo, sorry. Horse lover, absolutely. Beautiful hippo, and to see them out on the open like this, in a setting like this, is also really, really beautiful. Horse lover, I'm glad you appreciate this scene. The others have all disappeared underwater for now, but this one's on a little bit of a mission. Maybe didn't get enough to eat last night out in the open in the grasslands. Is still trying to find some more breakfast before it will eventually head back into the water to rest for the day. On a serious mission as well, as it wades through there at the back. And in the bigger picture, it looks minuscule. Just comparing it to the body of water and the area around it, as it flings more dung into the open. The top half of their body is a lot darker than that of the underneath, and that's the part that would be exposed to the sun for most of the day, just to protect it. Have a look at just how large its head is, and the mouth as well. Every so often when it lifts its head, you hear the brown-hooded kingfisher calling off to our left-hand side now as well. We'll see now if it doesn't turn to face us, and we can get a really nice picture of its head. And maybe if we're lucky enough, if it opens its mouth, we'll get to see those really, really large tusks that they've got. There you go. Actually looks like it's smiling, this hippo, as it lifts its head like that. But now it looks like it's going to head back into the water, off to the right. Yeah, that egret's made an appearance again at the back. Next to it is a blacksmith lapwing. But the hippo is still moseying about, and it's amazing how they use those already pathed paths to get from one spot to another. Maybe a little bit easier than making a new path to get to another area. We're going to send you off to Tristan, who's on a bit of a bumble.
We are in a bumble. We've been just scouting around. There's not been much actually to show for our work. We have kind of looked for... hello, squirrel. Let's see if it comes back out again. The squirrel seems to be here quite regularly. It sits on this little broken part of the marula just over here. We haven't had much luck. I've found tracks for Tlalamba, but I think they're the same tracks that Lauren had this morning, so I didn't want to follow those. They look like somebody had driven over them, but it's definitely from her. It came out where we had her last night. And then, other than that, it's been fairly quiet. The odd impala here and there, and we actually did see a martial eagle. That was quite cool. I haven't seen a martial eagle flying around for ages. It's been a long time, and it was a fully grown adult. But obviously the problem with them is when they're flying, they disappear pretty quickly, unfortunately. But nice to see one in the area. Hopefully it sticks around. Often when we see marshals, they'll stay around for a while, and we get visuals of them fairly regularly if they are in the area. Now, the squirrel is not coming out, of course, but it was in that little hole on this broken part of the marula. And actually I had one the other day chomping on a nut here. It was quite cool to watch. So I wonder if this one is just storing various food items, particularly marula nuts, which would be around this area given how many marulas are in this section, and then just kind of shoving them in these holes and then every now and then just coming and feeding off them. They're one of the few animals that can extract that nut, because what a lot of people think is when they see the seed of a marula, that the kind of nut part of it is that whole thing. That's not the case. Marulas have a small, tiny little nut within that big seed. And you can use a knife to get it out, but with them, they've got these perfect teeth that are able to just eat around and then extract the nut out, and they eat that and then drop the casing of the marula. And then when you find the casing of the marula, it looks like a little alien head with these big kind of round eyes, but it's not coming out, so we'll carry on. Let's see what else we can find. It's amazing. In the time that I've been here, the marulas, this particular one, has gone from fully leafed to almost devoid of leaves now. So the winter is starting to come. I still think we're kind of autumnish. I don't know. It feels like it's still autumn. The days are very hot still. It hasn't quite got that winter feel yet. There's still a bit of water around. There's still some green grass. Kind of dead of winter for me is always June, July, August. Although I suppose we are in the winter months now. We're kind of approaching mid-May, which is often winter. Sonia, I have absolutely no idea why there's no flying squirrels in South Africa. I mean, there is flying squirrels. I think there's an air unit of acrobatic winged pilots that fly planes that are called the flying squirrels. But as in the animal, I have no idea. It's just like, why aren't there tigers in Africa? It's just the way things are. Certain environments can house certain things, and so we just don't have that animal for whatever reason. Are you going to stay still? A little orange-tipped butterfly here, just sitting in the grass. The butterflies have actually been really good of late. There's been a lot of blue pansies, yellow pansies. I've seen, obviously, the monarchs are all around at the moment. The jokers are around, but these orange tips are beautiful, beautiful butterflies. They've got that kind of creamy yellow-white on the wings with this little sort of black border, and then this burnt sort of orange. It actually might, let me get my binos out so I can have a proper look. Sorry, I don't have a monitor to actually see what you guys are seeing. So I want to get binos out just to check, because there are a number of different orange tip butterflies and scarlet tips and purple tips. They all look quite similar with just varying degrees of color on the wings. And you get kind of the smoky orange tip, which I always enjoy that name. I don't know why I do. But it could be, I'm just trying to see, it could be the red tip actually. It's not red, it's orange. Maybe actually. Does it have the black markings on it? No. Because the common and
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth explorers, it's in your nature.
The reason why we see that wildebeest by himself is because he's a male, or a bull, as we typically would call him. And what he does is that he marks and defends an area. Essentially, he is looking for the ultimate piece of land or prime property. Needs to have good grazing, needs to have a water source close by. And not too far away from here, there's a sickle bush thicket that would provide just enough shelter from the wind and the rain.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want the wildebeest cross. Is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Well, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened, but anyway, it is definitely a red tip. I was having a proper look now. It flew away, but the red tips, some of the times you get them, they get like a black band that comes over their sort of abdomen into their wing. But they can have a variation where that black band is not obvious, and when that happens, the butterfly actually has a more orange and not red tip to the wings like what we've just seen now. So definitely that, I would say, with my butterflies. And like I say, those tipped butterflies can be quite tricky sometimes because there's a lot of them that can be look a little bit similar in that regard. Hello, impalas. It's like I was saying, it's really nice to have seen so many butterflies of late. Girls, what you up to? Quite strange just to see two female impalas by themselves here. Generally, quarantine is quite busy with impalas. We normally see a lot in biggish herds. Very seldom just two on their own like this. But shame, you can see it's a very slow morning for them. They're having a slow walk across the clearing. It would have been a cold start, and then, subsequent to that, it's now heating up quite quickly. So they're going to just be slowly ambling their way towards some semblance of shade, where I think they'll have a little bit of a nap and rest, and on their way they'll maybe feed a little bit and just ruminate and take it very, very easy. It must be so nice for them at this time of the day, because they kind of know on a clearing like this that the chance of a predator getting to them is almost zero. They can have a much more relaxed sort of time of it. A good time to have a good nap, I think. This is when, it starts getting from now until midday. Daniel, no, they don't. I've never seen female impalas fight with one another as adults. As little babies, sometimes they do, because the boys, their horns start to come out and then they headbutt, and the little girls kind of just play fighting when they're still little. And then the little ones will kind of play fight back with them, but they don't really do proper fighting. So no, you won't see it in adults. I've never seen two adult females fight. Although, I say you won't. You can never say never out here. There's some weird stuff that sometimes happens with the natural world, and you every now and then get an odd case where things can happen. So you can't say never, but it is highly, highly, highly unlikely or irregular to see female impalas having any sort of competition with one another. They're typically quite happy just to be around each other and use each other as a form of safety in terms of having more eyes and ears around, but they're not really in a situation where they are in competition, so it makes no sense for them to have to compete, and so that's why you don't see them fighting at all. But they're drifting off, and a car wants to come, so we'll leave them to themselves. We'll go and have a look at, there's I think a male just down here as well that we can go and have a look at. Shame Rexon was trying to be nice and trying to just go around us and not bomb through our shot, which is always very good. It's the nice thing about working with the Djuma guys is that they're so used to us now. They know exactly what we're trying to do and where we are, and so they know how to position themselves that they don't try and kind of drive in between us and the animals. It's a very, very kind gesture that they show us on a daily basis. All of the guys are pretty good about that kind of thing. Hello, Mr. Impala. So you are already in your shady spot, already taking it easy. I think he's found himself a good little spot here. This is a nice place just to rest and kind of let the day unfold until the terror of the night starts to come in, and also he then has to start trying to find some females. You can see he's kind of watching where the girls walk. There's also, like I say, the car that went there. Don't worry, boy. You can stay where you are. No one's going to bother you, I don't think, in this little section. I think everybody will be coming past, and that will be the end of it. So you don't have to leave your shade if you don't want to. Or you can. It's up to you. Anyway. All right, so it's that time of the day, guys, where we all head back home. It's time for breakfast for us. Hopefully you've had a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all aboard. Like I said, seems like lots again for everyone. So from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure, like I say, and we will see you all this afternoon on our sunset safari.